knowing that the intention was to foul bait on that final play is indefensible. It is some of the most weak cur dog shit I've ever heard in my life. That has to be Stephanie White's bright idea. I refuse to believe Austin Kelly is that dumb.
Basketball is a game of quick decisions where legends are made or forgotten. In the final moments of a fiercely contested match, the pressure is immense. Every single player on the court feels the weight of the world on their shoulders. The fans are screaming, the clock is ticking down, and the coach has drawn up a play that is supposed to secure the victory. But what happens when the players on the floor realize that the play designed by their head coach is fundamentally flawed? What happens when true competitors decide to take matters into their own capable hands? This exact scenario unfolded recently, sending absolute shockwaves throughout the entire sports community. The revelation that the final possession was not intended to be a glorious game-winning shot, but rather a cowardly attempt to draw a foul, has left analysts speechless. It is a philosophy that contradicts the very essence of competitive sports. Fans tune in to watch superstars take the final shot, to witness greatness under pressure, not to see players actively looking to get bailed out by the referees. This is why the actions of Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are being celebrated so widely everywhere. They recognized a weak strategy and chose to completely ignore it. They decided to trust their own instincts, their own talent, and their own unbreakable will to win. By going rogue on that crucial final play, they transformed a moment of potential embarrassment into a spectacular highlight that will be remembered forever. The situation that unfolded on the basketball court serves as a perfect example of what happens when elite athletes face mediocre coaching. Lexi Hull confirmed during a recent radio interview that the team was genuinely trying to draw a foul on that specific possession to win the game. She admitted openly that getting fouled was the primary objective of that final play. This admission is incredibly revealing because it exposes the defensive mindset originating from the bench. When you have a generational talent like Caitlin Clark on your roster, you do not design plays to beg for whistles. You put the ball in her hands and you let her shoot. The coaching staff, widely believed to be led by Stephanie White, crafted a strategy that fundamentally underestimated their own star player. They wanted to rely on the officials rather than relying on their absolute best shooters to execute. Fortunately, Sophie Cunningham possessed the situational awareness to recognize the absurdity of this plan. Instead of following orders blindly, she evaluated the defense, saw Caitlin moving into position, and delivered an absolutely flawless pass. She became an outlaw in that split second. She chose the difficult path of defiance over the easy path of compliance. And because she made that incredibly brave decision, the team actually secured the victory that they desperately needed. It is a testament to player intuition, overriding poor coaching directives in critical moments that matter most to the dedicated fans watching around the globe every week. The concept of foul baiting is universally despised by basketball purists, who value authentic competition above manipulated outcomes. It involves a player intentionally creating unnatural contact with a defender, merely to trick the referee into blowing the whistle. When a coach specifically designs a final play around this deceptive tactic, it sends a terrible message to the entire locker room. It implicitly states that the coaching staff does not believe the players are capable of scoring a legitimate basket against a set defense. This lack of belief can completely destroy team morale and undermine natural confidence and aggressive forward momentum. Stephanie White should honestly face severe criticism for endorsing such a weak mentality. Many passionate observers are rightfully arguing that drawing up a play explicitly for a foul is a fireable offense. It shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes sports captivating and what makes champions great. Champions do not flop, they do not beg, and they certainly do not plan their entire endgame strategy around the hope that an official will bail them out. Caitlin Clark understands this fundamental truth. Sophie Cunningham understands this fundamental truth. They both embody the fearless alpha mindset that refuses to ever simply settle. They rejected weakness and embraced their own incredible, undeniable power and skill on the court. They chose victory over cowardly coaching tactics, inspiring millions of dedicated supporters who watch them play basketball passionately every night. The fallout from this single play has been absolutely fascinating to witness across all social media platforms. Fans immediately started dissecting the footage, looking for any subtle clues about the internal dynamics of the team. One of the most telling pieces of evidence came from analyzing the body language of Kelsey Mitchell right after the final buzzer sounded to end the thrilling competitive basketball game. While the rest of the arena erupted in pure joy, Mitchell looked visibly frustrated and disconnected from the celebration. According to the original play design, she was supposedly the intended target for the final action. When Sophie Cunningham decided to bypass that plan and pass the ball to Caitlin Clark instead, it clearly created a moment of intense friction. This visual evidence perfectly captures the underlying tension that often exists within professional sports teams when individual egos clash with collective goals. It raises serious questions about the long-term stability of a roster dealing with such profound internal team divisions. A team truly succeeds if the players do not trust the coaching staff and do not trust each other? The answer is usually a resounding no. However, sometimes a moment of spontaneous rebellion can actually galvanize a group of athletes and forge a stronger bond than any meticulously planned strategy ever could. When Cunningham threw that pass, she was essentially declaring her absolute faith in Clark's ability to deliver under immense pressure. That kind of unspoken trust is incredibly powerful and cannot be artificially manufactured in practice sessions. It is forged in the fiery heat of intense, real competition. The internet wasted absolutely no time immortalizing this epic moment of defiance. A brilliant meme quickly began circulating online, perfectly summarizing the entire chaotic situation. The meme humorously depicted the coaching staff desperately pleading with the players to just follow the plan, while Caitlin and Sophie completely ignored them and won the game anyway. What made this meme truly legendary, however, was not just its comedic accuracy, but the fact that Sophie Cunningham actually shared it on her own personal social media account. This public endorsement was a massive statement that sent huge shockwaves through the sports media reporting community. By sharing the meme, Cunningham publicly confirmed the rumors that they had intentionally gone rogue. She embraced her newly acquired outlaw persona with absolute pride and unapologetic swagger. To make matters even more interesting, Caitlin Clark personally commented on the post, expressing her love and appreciation for her fearless teammate. This public display of unity between the two star players stood in stark contrast to the apparent disconnect between the roster and the coaching staff. It was a clear and undeniable message that the players were taking ownership of their own destiny, regardless of what the coaching bench officially commanded. This entire saga perfectly illustrates the shifting power dynamics in modern professional sports. In the past, coaches held absolute authority over their teams, and players were expected to follow instructions without question or hesitation. But today, superstar athletes have massive platforms and unparalleled influence. They understand their own immense value, and they are no longer willing to quietly accept mediocrity from leadership. When a coach proves to be incompetent or out of touch, players are increasingly willing to challenge them openly and unapologetically. The days of blind obedience are rapidly coming to an absolute end in this modern professional era. Caitlin Clark is the perfect embodiment of this new generation of empowered athletes. She possesses a unique combination of elite skill, supreme confidence, and a fierce competitive drive that demands excellence from everyone around her. When she stepped onto the court for that final play, she had absolutely zero intention of looking for a foul. She wanted the ball, she wanted the shot, and she wanted the glory. That is the mentality of a true alpha competitor. She does not wait for opportunities to be handed to her. She actively goes out and forcefully takes them for her own self. Sophie Cunningham proved that she shares that exact same elite mentality. By recognizing the moment and making the right basketball play instead of the scripted coaching play, she elevated herself from a solid contributor to a local legend. The nickname Outlaw fits her perfectly because it captures her rebellious spirit and her willingness to break the rules in pursuit of victory. Together, Clark and Cunningham have formed an unexpected but incredibly formidable alliance that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of their franchise. They have drawn a very clear, visible line in the sand regarding what they will proudly accept forever. The front office now faces a very difficult and highly scrutinized decision regarding the future of the coaching staff. If they choose to retain Stephanie White, they risk alienating their two most important and influential players. They risk creating a toxic environment where trust is completely shattered and resentment festers just beneath the surface. On the other hand, firing a coach mid-season is always a massive disruption that can derail a promising campaign. However, keeping a leader who designs plays to beg for fouls, rather than fighting for baskets, might be an even bigger absolute risk to the entire team. The fans have made their opinions incredibly clear on this controversial matter. They want to see aggressive, unapologetic basketball played by athletes who are entirely unafraid of the moment. They are tired of watching conservative, fear-based strategies that prioritize avoiding mistakes over actively pursuing greatness. The massive outpouring of support for Caitlin and Sophie proves that the public values courage and authenticity above all else. They want heroes who take the difficult shot and face the consequences, not players who search for loopholes and complain to the referees. This is a fundamental, massive shift in core fan expectations today. As the season progresses, every single eye will be focused intensely on this team to see how they respond to this incredible, dramatic turning point. Will the coaching staff adjust their philosophy and start trusting their players more implicitly? Or will they stubbornly cling to their outdated methods and risk losing control of the locker room entirely? The tension is palpable, and the stakes have absolutely never been higher for this entire organization. Every single game moving forward will be dissected and analyzed for any lingering signs of internal conflict or renewed unity among the roster and the coaching staff. Regardless of what happens next, the legacy of that final play is completely secure in the minds of the fans. It will forever be remembered as the exact moment when two fearless competitors decided that enough was enough. They looked at a cowardly plan, laughed in its face, and chose to be incredibly great instead. It is a story that will be told and retold for years to come, serving as a powerful reminder that true greatness cannot be contained or controlled by small-minded, restrictive strategies. It must be allowed to break free and absolutely flourish without arbitrary restrictions. The incredible drama surrounding this single basketball game is exactly why millions of people tune in to watch professional sports every single week. It is never just about putting a ball through a hoop. It is about human psychology, intense pressure, and the constant battle between fear and courage. When athletes step onto the court, they are entirely exposed. Their true character is revealed for the whole world to analyze and judge without any mercy. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham passed that incredibly difficult test with absolute flying colors, cementing their status as true absolute warriors of the beautiful game. In the end, basketball is a player's game. Coaches can draw up all the elaborate schemes they want on their whiteboards, but when the final buzzer is rapidly approaching, it all comes down to the individuals executing on the hardwood. The best coaches understand this fundamental reality and empower their athletes to make instinctive reads in real time. The worst coaches try to micromanage every single possession, stifling creativity and breeding hesitation among their most talented stars. The events of this week have provided a masterclass in the stark difference between these two heavily contrasting leadership styles and foundational philosophies. We look ahead to the rest of the fiercely competitive schedule. One thing is absolutely certain. this team will never be exactly the same again. The dynamic has shifted permanently. The players have successfully tasted the intoxicating thrill of absolute autonomy, and they are highly unlikely to ever surrender it back to a coaching staff that they no longer fully respect. The front office must recognize this new reality and adapt accordingly, or they will completely waste the prime years of a generational superstar. The clock is ticking loudly, and the entire global basketball world is watching very closely. The legendary outlaw status of Sophie Cunningham will only continue to grow as fans completely embrace her rebellious spirit and undeniable courage. She has become a powerful symbol of resistance against mediocre coaching and cowardly game plans. Her merchandise will undoubtedly fly off the shelves, and her name will be chanted loudly in arenas across the entire country. She proved that you do not need to be the primary offensive option to make the most important play of the entire game. You just need to have the intelligence, to recognize the moment and the incredible bravery to finally seize it. And then there is the incredible phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark. She continues to exceed every massive expectation placed upon her remarkably young shoulders. She's not merely a sensational shooter. She is a transcendent leader who completely demands excellence from everyone in her immediate orbit. She is redefining what it means to be a modern superstar athlete, combining elite physical talent with an uncompromising mental toughness that simply cannot be taught or replicated. The game is evolving rapidly, and she is at the absolute forefront of that incredibly exciting revolution, pushing boundaries and completely shattering all established historical norms. This unforgettable chapter in sports history will undoubtedly serve as a crucial lesson for coaches everywhere. Trust your absolute best players. Do not ever try to outsmart the beautiful game with overly complicated and cowardly tactics. When the game is on the line, put the ball in the hands of your fearless alphas and let them determine the final outcome. Anything less is a huge disservice to the sport, the fans, and the athletes themselves. The Outlaws have spoken loudly, and their powerful message will resonate deeply throughout the entire basketball landscape for many long and highly entertaining years ahead.